how's it going? Oh, look at the state of that, eh? It's thinning more and more every day. I'm gonna have to give it a little shave. Hello, fellow Briggs videos. You all right, mate? How's it going? There we go. The notification went on. Sometimes it takes a while for YouTube to even let people know that I'm here. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about this MMA hookup that's quite awesome. Labour anti-Semitism, which as ever is a bit more complicated than it first seems, and I'm going to be talking about the joys of living with the NHS.
It's time for trigger warning.
Trigger warning! Fuck your feelings, you little snowflake. Triggerwarning.tv.
How dare you!
I love that little bulldozer for our regulars. It's become a thing now, hasn't it? We discovered as well over the weekend that my partner's bulldozer, if you get the reference, is in something that triggers you beyond words, is all this map nomad stuff. Normally she doesn't care about the show and trigger warning and all that. She gets enough of my nonsense in person. But she's been really, really upset about this whole map, no map, pro C nonsense that Aiden's been on a massive crusade with at the moment, actually. Massive, massive crusade. And rightly so. It's a good thing to be... It's a hard one, isn't it? Because it goes against... I don't want people being censored or removed from the internet. I think that whole behaviour is nonsense. And yet, at the same time... If paedophiles are networking in spaces where children exist and they are presenting bright colours and all that, I get it. I don't know. Happy Dog said, Graham, get your hair cut, for fuck's sake, your head looks like a sucked lollipop. It's been dropped on the carpet. Thanks, Happy Dog. Good morning, mate. Anyway, interesting one for the first story here. I quite like this. I saw this video. The actual incident was from a while ago, just before Christmas, actually. But it's finally got to this fella here. In fact, let me scroll up so you can see. Oh. Dana White. If you do not know Dana White runs MMA, UFC. You can tell I don't watch it that much. I'm like, the MMAs. He's the boss of UFC, and he said here, this is summer. She stopped this punk from getting away with stealing from Best Buy in Hawaii. She got fired for this. Oh! And we're just gonna react at that level for now, because I've got some more information in a second. Flying her in this weekend and giving her tickets to McGregor versus Cowboy fight. All caps, I want her to work for me. Get ready for the best weekend of your life. How great is this? Now check out Summer here. Look, here she goes. Look at that. This guy's trying to get out. What's he got there? Is it like a VR or a games console or something? It's hard to see. It doesn't really matter, does it? All we know is that she gets right up there. No! I don't think so. You don't need the sound. Look at this guy here. What's going on here? Oh, taken down. Right, this is really weird now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guy just ran away there. 6 people. How does this guy even get up? She's on it. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Look at that stance. Arms out. That's wife material right there. Wife material. Look at that. Badass. Oh, she's not got a bad one for it. She's not got a bad body for a big girl either, has she? I love that. I don't know how he got up. Don't know how he got away. Very, very odd. I mean, he was right there. The electric things. Some people... Now, here's the thing. She got fired for this. That's the part I'm interested in. Because blah, 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 blah. Everyone's going, people shouldn't get beat up for stealing from giant corporations. Go fuck yourself, mate. Go fuck yourself, mate. You fucking tool. Like, dude, that's where she works. She's got loyalties to the place. She doesn't want to lose her job because too many things get stolen. Blah 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 blah. Imagine beating on someone over property belongs to a company worth 30 billion. Well, not necessarily, because it's each thing is a franchise. Let's not worry about that. She should be in jail. Blah, blah, blah. He paid for it. Blah, blah, blah. I like this. He paid for it. She was trying to get him to buy the extended warranty. Technically, they're all criminals until the thief crosses the boundary and actually leaves the store. Yeah, well, I'd like to see a court actually put it that way, because she was right there at the magnetic things and he was running with it in his hands. And according to reports, he's done it several times. He is known to them. He comes in, picks it up, buggers off. It's something he does. How do you get fired from stopping someone stealing? Right, this is the thing now, and this is why this story took my... I mean, I'm dead happy. I'm dead happy that she's got to see the biggest fighter on the planet. Of course I am. Good for her. Brilliant. I'm happy that she's going to get a job. I think within the UFC, there is work for a female who is this confident in her own abilities. You know, you can put her in with the lads. McGregor's having a bad day and he's squaring up to fuckers. You can have her in there. She's not going to mind it. And there's going to be a line drawn in his head, isn't he? He's going to be like, well, I can't, it's a woman. She could probably build quite a good rapport with some of the people. I'm sure she'll be of much better use at UFC than she is at frigging Best Buy. Especially with this. Look at that stance. Ooh, she's not messing around. I know I said I'd fight any woman, but you know what? I definitely want the full 6 months training before I took her on. Jesus. I think that would be quite a bitter fight for me anyway. But here's the thing, man. Here's what really annoys me about it. People reading the headlines, but he's obviously just read the headlines. If we go here, and it's the Daily Mail, sorry about this, but not many people are covering it. And according to this, again, this is confirming what he said, he's going to fry out. According to this, she was going to quit anyway. She'd already handed in a notice. So her leaving was fine. It was done with no ill will, no ill feelings, and also, and this is where she's also said that it was not the first time he stole from the store. And it kind of frustrates me. This is a huge disease at the moment where people are only reading the headline, the tweet. I see it a lot. All sides of the political spectrum. In my opinion, it is a bigger problem on the left right now because they share shitty blogs like Occupy Democrats and Another Angry Voice and all that. They share those blogs that are just conspiracy theories for the most part, or very, very heavy on opinion, and they only read the headline, or they don't even read the headline. They just read the tweet that goes with it, even if what goes with it contradicts it. I see this a lot. I see the tweet that directly contradicts what the body of the story is. But people only read and react to the tweet, and I find that very, very concerning and very worrying. But good on Summer, 24. She's going to be working for UFC. This girl's going to be meeting Joe Rogan this weekend, eh? Oh, what's this mail, eh? What's this dodgy writing here? Sort your site out. Stop using WordPress. Happy for her, though. Good girl. Right. Despite what some of my woke mates like to think about the right-wing media spreading things about anti-Semitism, all of them are at the moment, BBC and all the rest of it. Everyone's reporting on it. And this is quite an interesting story to me because Labour, 5 Labour people, there were 6 arrests, although we don't know where they were in Labour, what kind of supporters they were, whether they worked for him or supported him. There's not been a hell of a lot of information about that. But there's been 6 arrests and 5 face charges for anti-Semitism. Will this break through the bubble? Will this break through that? No, it's just lies. It's just rumours. You've got Dame Cressida Dick. Are we really going to put Dame Dick in charge of the... Okay, that's fine. The Commissioner of Metropolitan Police said the force has arrested 6 people last year as part of its inquiry last year. So this was around when it was just in full denial. There isn't a problem. And it's for the CPS to decide if they are going to bring charges. Now, the investigation, this is the interesting part here. In fact, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. This is what caught my eye about this. The investigation was prompted by an internal Labour dossier detailing anti-Semitic messages on social media allegedly posted by members members. So the Labour Party themselves created this dossier, and it was obtained by LBC. It says earlier on in the thing that, yeah, there we go, LBC. Now, it's an interesting one, this, isn't it? Because people are like, no, it's all lies, Corbyn loves the Jews, blah, 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 blah. But this is Labour's own investigation. This is Labour's own information. Now, I'm not buying this whole Corbyn hates Jews, Corbyn blah, 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 blah. I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, and I'm sorry if you've heard this before from me. I was speaking to someone that works for Labour. I know a lot of people that work for Labour. Most of them are idiots that have got no political sense whatsoever. They are. They're just fanatics. They've picked their team, and they are on their team. But I do know someone who does strategy for him, and he told me that Corbyn was hated so much by certain people, you know, you might want to call them the Blairites or the Blues or the people who don't want to spread the destruction of communism through the country, you know, however you want to, whatever kind of slant you want to put on these people. He said that apparently in order to get Corbyn, and this happened very, very early on in his tenure as the leader, what they did was they held on to anti-Semitic complaints. They basically let them pile up, and letting them pile up like that whilst Corbyn was in charge was the best way they could see of getting rid of him, because they know he's not a fan of the Jews anyway. You know, which I don't really care if he is or isn't. Thing is, he might hate Jews, but it's about what you do, isn't it? I don't care who hates who and who's got what prejudice. What do you do? What's your policy? What do you enact? He doesn't like Jews very much, does he? Which is probably why the Labour Party apparently did this, allowed these things to build up to make him look bad, to allow for this smear, because they knew then that certain people who were in this pile waiting for it to be resolved would eventually get so angry they left the party, they went to the papers, they go to the police. That was the thing. It was like rather than healing the cut, you let it fester. And eventually it stinks so bad everyone knows about it. I think that was the plan. But here's what worries me. If this is true, assuming what he said was true, because he was telling me this in defence of Corbyn. Actually, this was him trying to defend Corbyn. If that is true, then there are people within the Labour Party who will happily ignore anti-Semitism in order to oust their leader. There's people who happily use Jews as a tool and use Jews who have been abused as a political tool for their own end games, which in itself isn't very good, is it? That's not very nice. You know, it's like intentionally ignoring Windrush people to get Theresa May out, which, you know, could have happened, but I don't know. I suspect the Windrush thing is just extreme incompetence, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't think it's necessarily prejudice. Not at that level. I don't know. But it is interesting. Arrests have been made now. Are people going to stop harping on about right-wing media? Are people going to stop? It really fucking annoys me, and it's been driving me mad because Facebook, oh my God. As you know, I go on about it endlessly. I quit Facebook, it's about 2 years ago now. But they still email me constantly. And they email me with like little snippets of what people I've now lost touch with are saying. And it's such phenomenal bullshit. And they know how to tempt me because I just want to jump in and fight. But I know it'll just make me sad in the long run. What I'm going to do, come in and say, no, you're wrong, here's why you're wrong. And a big one is anti-Semitism. I've had a lot of emails at the moment about anti-Semitism. And people, and I see good friends of mine who are in these sort of Corbyn is a good man bubble, and they're like, no, it's all lies, it's all nonsense, and it's like, no, man. And some of them might say that there's similar levels of anti-Semitism in Labour as there are across the population as a whole, and that might be true. My gut feeling is I doubt that. When I see a sea of Palestinian flags at the conference, I think there's probably quite a large number of people there who have legitimate concerns about Palestine and Israel and all that. Why they're so focused on the only democracy in the Middle East, I'm not entirely sure. But I would also suspect, with the passion and feeling in the room, that does attract a lot of people who just hate Jews. They just can't stand them. They think they've got too much money. They think they run the bank's business, all that other stuff. Jews as a whole, because they'll see a Jewish person in a position of power and then go, the Jews, which in itself is anti-Semitic. It's just hateful bigotry, isn't it? It's like saying, oh, white men, or if you're white, you don't understand racism. It's just bigotry. It's the same thing goes there. Now, I suspect it's a bit of both. I suspect it's a little bit higher than it is in the general population. I suspect at this point it's a lot higher, because the issue with Labour is they haven't done anything about it. And we're getting to the point now where they are being seriously investigated by the police. Will the bubble burst? I don't know. Now, the last part of this story that's very, very important, and I got to say this, there's the anti-Semitism thing, there's the Labour bubble, there's all that other stuff. The party is a joke at the moment, a shocking joke. But I don't necessarily think these people should have been arrested. I don't think people should be arrested for their political opinions, even if that political opinion is Jews are ruling the world and controlling the banks and all that other nonsense. Even if that is their opinion, even if they hate Jewish people, I don't think they should be arrested for that. I think if somebody's spraying, like we've got here, 9/11 with the Star of David and all that. If people are spray painting kike along the side of a synagogue, that is an arrestable offence in itself. Graffiti isn't legal. You've got criminal damage, haven't you? You got all sorts of things you could do. You could even go in as far as intimidation and harassment. You could go to that. But I am very, very uncomfortable with the idea of attaching hate to it, with arresting someone for hate, arresting someone for their dislike of a group. I'm very, very uncomfortable with that. Because if we start doing that, that stops all civil rights movements. It's a very, very fine line, and it's very difficult to talk about this for some people, because you say to them, I don't think hate speech is a thing, and they immediately think of this. They immediately think of someone screaming in someone's face or inciting violence. That's what they think of, and they think of hate speech, and it's like, no, that's its own separate thing. Tan has just said you shouldn't be arrested for opinion-only action. Yes, 100%. That's exactly it. I think if somebody wants to deny the Holocaust or even, we're at the point now where, people sort of mess around with the maths and, 6 million seems like a lot. It could be. Maybe they got the number wrong. Maybe they got it right. But to make that illegal, to make that actionable, that concerns the shit out of me then. Because we're into fascistic territory there, aren't we? We're into territory where, here's the thing, man. When big changes are made, when big things that need to happen, I happen to believe in freedom. I think we should be free, which is a big thing in this country right now. We are not free in this country. We don't have freedom of speech. We don't have autonomy over our own decisions. There are a lot of heavy regulations. In fact, I'm going to go into it in just a second, man. I think I should be free. Yeah? I don't want the government to be able to apply what I'm saying as being hate. And, just apply hate to what I'm saying and then arrest me for it. I think that is ever so slightly disgusting. It says here, the CPS also introduced an 85% target for hate crime convictions. It's really worrying, this shit, man. Really, really worrying. Reports of hate crime have surged in recent years, hitting peaks during the 2016 EU referendum, blah, blah, blah. It's funny they talk about this, isn't it? Because we talk about certain people when they talk about hate crimes, which is nonsense. Hate crimes don't have a legal definition that is in any way satisfactory. In any way satisfactory. But they go, oh, well, since the referendum, increase in hate crimes. But you could just as easily say, since someone killed a load of children at the Manchester Arena, there's been an increase of hate crimes. since a guy stood there in London with a machete and just hacked people up in the street with blood running down the road. There's been an increase in hate crimes. Since it came out that thousands of children were being raped and taken into slavery where they were drugged and branded, there's been an increase in hate crimes. It's all such a this is the problem with hate crimes. You could just take anything. You go, well, this has happened, therefore this. Brexit, therefore this. The biggest one, and a lot of my lefty mates fall for this, was the letterbox comment. Boris Johnson. I mean, the argument's been won now. We had the election. A big one on that, and I've got a very intelligent mate, and I really want to get him on here, but I don't know how to get in touch with him, not being on Facebook. I might have to just go on and grab him. I really want to get him on and have a chat with him, because he's a clever guy, but he actually said to me, we need to start looking at things like Boris Johnson's letterbox comments and the effect that had. Apparently, Boris Johnson said, if you want to, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, if you want to look like a letterbox, you've got every right to do so. That was the point of the paragraph. People just edit out that and go, letterbox, you racist. Even though it's got nothing to do with race. It's being subservient to an incredibly patriarchal form of oppression. But apparently we can't mock it. Well, I don't know why. Something that in other countries you get beaten in the street for not doing. And yet here you take the piss out of it. It's like, you dirty racist. But here's the thing. Very clever mate of mine. He's in this left-wing trap of saying, Boris said letterboxes, hate crimes went up. And my sort of issue with that, and I can see why he's saying that, is, was it the Telegraph he wrote in? It was the Telegraph or the Times, I can't remember. How many people who were stood there shouting letterbox, or there was one woman who apparently they tried to put letters in a thing. We don't know how many of these are real, how many aren't real, I don't know. There's a lot of fucking scummy bastards out there of every skin colour and every religion who see an opening and think of the compo. But say Boris did say the letterbox thing whilst defending their right to look like letterboxes, and then attacks went up, right? If you draw a line from Boris, how many of those chavvy fuckers who did this shit read that Telegraph story? How many of them are members to get behind the paywall? If we're gonna attribute that to Boris Johnson, why are we not then attributing it to the Guardian, or the Sun, or BBC News, or Sky News? This shit gets up and away. Why are we not attributing it to all the people that tweeted it out? Tweeted out the same thing. Letterbox. How many, and there's no real way to know this, but I doubt it. I doubt those chavvy fuckers subscribe to the Telegraph. That might be classist. That might be elitist of me. But I doubt it. I doubt they put the money up front to read his words directly. And this is why you don't mess around with freedom of speech. This is why you do the actions, not anything. Because if you're going to blame Boris Johnson for that, it is a slippery slope then. A slippery slope. Because I doubt very, very much they read his exact words where he published them. If you're going to put incitement blame, then is the Mirror to blame, the Independent, all the rest of him. They're the ones that repeat all these messages. I mean, the Independent is terrible for directly inciting violence, but I'm going to get into that another time. I don't know. Right, let's check the comments before we move on. John. Hiya, John. First time joining the live chat. Cool. Oh, greetings from New York. Nice to see you, man. You're up early for this, mate. Thank you. Happy Dog said they broadened the scope of what is classified as a hate crime. Yes, they did and do. They keep broadening it to the point where police themselves can report it, which is what happens quite a lot of the time. Everyone knows Count Dankula. It was a police officer. Same in Liverpool. The girl who posted the rap lyrics on her Instagram, it was a police officer that reported a hate crime. And here's the thing, though. It's so easy to convict. They've got reduced resources, reduced time. They can, you're giving this stressed person a thing where they can report the crime themselves. It's almost certain to get a conviction because it's a frigging tweet or whatever, or a YouTube or an Instagram post. They're almost certain to get a conviction because it's right there. And because the definition is so flexible and out there, grossly offensive. You know, offensive is protected in this country. Grossly offensive isn't. And almost no one can tell you the difference between the two. Almost no one. Because legally, we don't have a standard. We don't. We have offensive listed. This is offensive, this is offensive, this is offensive. All covered. Which, by the way, religion's in there. And yet we're still, whatever. But grossly offensive, no legal guidelines for it at all. Nothing. Literally nothing. Look that up yourself, man. Section 127 of the Communications Act. It's just unacceptable within society or something like that. No standards, though. Fucking joke. Absolute joke. Paul Scott said, opinions are fine, as you say. It should be made illegal when someone tries to incite hate through extremism and propaganda. Well, I mean, what's inciting hate, though? That's the thing for me, though. I struggle with inciting hate. I would rather the inciting of the hate was loud and clear and proud and not hidden behind weasel words. I would rather it was there. Inciting violence is the only clear line we can do. I mean, you know, SJWs incite hate all the time. Going on about cis straight white men. That's inciting hate. Directly inciting hate. And I think they're scumbags. Absolute scumbags. Hateful bigots. But I don't think they should be arrested. I don't think they should be banned from any platforms for talking the nonsense. I would rather that their weird, racist, sexist nonsense was out there, amplified as loudly as possible. So more and more people like Boy George wake up and go, what the hell is going on? The problem is, and it's like trying to avoid taxes, isn't it? The problem is if we outlaw it, things become subtle. We get code words, we get stuff, we get people walking the line. I'd rather it was just out there so we can challenge it properly. But that's just me. Sutties Rehab has said, hate crime will be whatever the courts deem it to be. Yes, that's exactly it. We've got a big problem in this country. A huge problem. Look, man, if someone attacks someone in the street, that is a crime in itself. You don't need to attach hate to it. You know, giving a different sentence because of the colour of the skin of the person is not acceptable, man. Not acceptable. That's going down segregation laws there. If someone's doing graffiti on someone's building, that is an arrestable offence no matter what the graffiti is. Now, yes, you could argue harassment. If it is specifically directed at the person and all that, you could. But let's keep the hate thing out of it. You know, there's not a lot of crimes done with love in their heart. You know, maybe you kill your partner who's dying, you know, as an act of mercy. There's no hate there, I get it. But that's rare, man. Crime isn't done with love, is it? It worries me, man. That we attach this. There's no reason for it. Paul said Boris' comment was nothing more than blunt and un-PC. He has the balls to speak his mind. It's nothing. Yeah, I think Boris Johnson knew the fuss that his article would cause, and that's why he quite blatantly and quite cleverly put the letterbox comment as part of a thing defending people's right to do it. He played the media perfectly. He was gearing up for the election months before anyone even thought there was going to be one. The BBC spreading hate, call me shocked. PB Awake said, really good point, that really good. Offence is subjective. I don't know if they're related to the same things, but I'm glad that I am stimulating you. I don't want you to agree. You know, right? If you agree with every single thing I say on this show, I'd be very, very worried for you. If you agreed with everything Aidan said, I would be extremely nervous. Extremely nervous. The dirty socialist, genocidal maniac that he is. Tarn Devereux said, I take offence at articles in The Guardian. Exactly. That's the issue. I find plenty of newspaper articles deeply offensive. I find the NHS offensive. I find the fact that you are forced to pay for a service, with whether you want to or not, which can then turn around, kill your mum and just get away with it because it's government backed. Which means if there are problems, these things are hushed away on 20-year-long investigations. And by the time it comes out, it doesn't matter, man. There's no legal protection. The same people that are supposed to be protecting our rights, protecting our freedoms, are the same people that provide the service. It's impossible. It's like Manchester United hiring their own referee for a home game. You know, they're never going to be fair. They're never going to be... It's physically impossible. Which brings me to this. And damn you, Mirror. Damn you! Papa has said in British law, harassment requires 2 or more repeat incidents. You're right. There is a technicality there. I mean, I don't know. There's intimidation. There's other things. Harassment is the wrong word. And I did use that poorly, as people often do. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I totally agree with you there. Oh, Aiden's watching. I love it when Graham talks about hate speech. Oh, well, you're going to love this bit, Aiden. Here we go. So, boy, 7. This is the Mirror, by the way. Labour-loving, NHS-supporting Mirror. The boy of 7 is battling cancer. His sister, 3, desperate for £500,000 £500,000 op. You know what that meant. £500,000 op to try and save his life. The parents of Denny, blah, 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 campaigning to raise £500,000 for treatment abroad as it is unavailable on the NHS. I'm fucking sick of this, man. I'm sick of people saying that the NHS is free at the point of use. The NHS is not free at the point of use. The NHS is a mandatory. You cannot opt out with it. Therefore, it is deeply and fundamentally immoral. The NHS should exist as a service. It should. Completely untethered from the government and as an optional thing, whether you want to use it or not. But here we are. So we have an insurance system that you have to pay for. There's no way out. There's no opt-out. And the family of Denny have paid for it and been told, sorry, no. And here we are, fucking pointing at America. Oh, these people. Well, we're just as screwed here. We just work the numbers in a slightly different way. Every single day a child gets told, sorry, we don't cover that here. Why? Well, you know the story, don't you, about the car company? It's that famous... Fight Club made the sort of thing quite famous, didn't they? Car company discovers a fault. So what do? They weigh up the cost of recalling that car against the cost of payouts in lawsuits. People take this as like, oh, dirty, horrible capitalist bastards. If one's bigger... If the lawsuit is less than the recall, they won't recall it and they'll let people die. Well, a similar thing happens at the NHS. Because they're not connected to you, and because they're dirty, evil, socialist scum whose morals are written on a piece of paper and in no way embedded into their soul, what they do is they look at the numbers. They look at the fact that only 800 people a year get this cancer in this country, and they go, sorry, we don't cover that. That person never has to look this family in the eye. That person doesn't even have to connect directly with the doctors and nurses that have to break the bad news that, sorry, we don't cover that here. So again, you've got to go to America, haven't you? A country that spends more on research alone than we do on the entirety of our NHS, because our NHS is an absolute joke. Because it costs... Here's the thing, man. The NHS costs more than what we pay for it. It does. We pretend it doesn't. We rape every country we can get hold of for cheap labour just to keep it limping along. And then we hide medications from people using it. We hide treatments from people using it. We just don't even tell people they exist. So now the only chance that this boy's got to survive is if he goes to America and spends £500,000. And this is what really frustrates me about this situation is when we talk about America, there's this whole thing of like, we're going to sell it to Trump. And it poisons the well. And it really, really frustrates me, this. Because if people could just calm down a little bit, please just calm the fuck down, right? And we can do our deals with the thing because they produce most of the new drugs. They do. We do a bit. People, they wave it sometimes. Oh, look at this research that was done in Cambridge. Yeah, by a company owned in America. It's an American. The Americans are paying the wages, you dickhead. But anyway, let's not get in on that. We need to step back from this. They're going to sell the NHS to Trump, and we need to do some sort of deal. We have deals with Australia and New Zealand. If an Australian comes here and they need to use the NHS, there's a reduced cost. They still need insurance and all the rest of it. I had a similar thing when I went there. New Zealand, I got seen by a doctor. I got antibiotics for my throat. Dirty boy that I am. And it cost me $100. The reason it cost $100 is because we have a deal with the NHS and New Zealand's, so that we sort of look after each other. If we could reduce the toxicity around the USA, the country that does have the best healthcare on the planet, by the way. It's expensive, but it's the best. If you want to survive cancer, you ain't doing it in this country. You go there. But anyway, let's go on to something else. If we could somehow reduce the ridiculous toxicity around America and do some sort of deal that way. Because if you're on the NHS, chances are you pay 150, 200 quid a month. That's your insurance. You pay that. Not by choice, you have to. You have no choice. If you work, you pay it. If somehow we could do a frigging deal with them, eh? So we could share healthcare. So this $500,000, which should be paid for by the NHS, which our government should be paying for, he's paid his insurance, free at the point of use. If the treatment is elsewhere, then let's be honest and send him elsewhere. The government, we should be paying for this. This should be out of the public purse. Surely. That's another argument for another time. If we could actually I just wish we could mix a little bit. So maybe it was 100 grand. Maybe we could have cross insurance. So if Americans wanted to come to the UK, they weren't getting health insurance to do so. You come here on holiday, they're not getting health insurance. If they come here to work, they're covered by the NHS. Day one. If we could stop messing around with America and actually negotiate a real deal. But the problem is in this country is you mention America and people just go, oh, the costs, insurance, and yeah, they've got big problems over there. The government is far too heavily involved with the insurance system. Medicare has screwed it. You can't get insurance across state lines. It creates all sorts of problems. The system's screwed, man. But there are advantages there. There's an advantage in that if you were in America, this treatment would not cost $500,000 because you'd already have insurance. It might cost a lot, but it wouldn't necessarily cost $500,000 because you're already insured, etc., etc. We need to start doing deals. We do. The other point is, as I said, it says further down in the... Oh, look at the state of this. The poor little sod. Brother and sister, because they've got the same thing and their immune systems are so low, they can't live together. One of them lives with the grandparents. And the main time they see each other is when they're both in hospital at the same time. At the window. How heartbreaking is that? Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Now... This is the problem with the one-size-fits-all. This is the problem with, the lie that is the NHS. I thought that I gave my money to the NHS, therefore the NHS bought in bulk. It doesn't do that. There's a certain amount of price controls for some medications, but generally not. Not at all. They don't even... Again, they should be running it like Amazon. There should be central warehouses. Stuff should be, you get doctors with iPads. They've already got iPads. They should be pressing this stuff, this medication, and it's coming out automatically. It should be networked properly, but it's not. Oh, the pit stains are beginning. Yeah, God, I'm getting sweaty, aren't I? Getting excited. Here's the thing about the NHS. This is what it should be. This is what we should have. These families, I can't remember where it is here. It's about 800, 790 something or other. Oh, there we go. This specific kind of blood cancer affects 790 people a year, mostly children, in the UK. Now, the NHS has decided that they are not going to treat these 790 people, these 790 families, mostly children. They're not going to treat them, and the NHS has decided that. So why do we live in a system where those 790 families cannot opt out? Why can't they opt out? Why can't they go do their own thing? Why can't those 790 families get together, form a co-op, hire a doctor, a specialist, do a deal, still do the charity stuff? I mean, they've raised 60 grand here so far. This one family has raised 60 grand. By the way, there's a link in the description if you want to chuck a $5 or a $10 in. The link's in the description. I made sure it was there before I started the show. They could still this 60 grand. That could be half, maybe, of this specialist's wages a year. This one person has raised half this specialist's wages a year. Now, if they're spending £150, £200 a month per person, so, you know, both parents are working, let's say 250 quid a month that they're giving to the NHS. Why do we not allow them to spend the money where they want? Why can't those near 800 families spend that 250 quid a month to run their own centre, to pay their own specialist, who will hire their own nurses, who will get their own gear? They can still do the charity drives, they can still do all the rest of it, but the money is going there. It is not all going for one person's single treatment in America. This one person isn't reduced to begging like this. It's pathetic, man. It's horrible. And again, it's this centralised planning. We just assume that centralised planning is... it's such a phenomenal blind spot for us in this country, the NHS. I say those 800 people should be able to do what they want with their money. Fuck the NHS. Let their priorities and their needs take precedent. Let them choose themselves. Please. And you know what? If you're an 18-year-old and you want to take the risk of not paying for your national insurance, you want to spend that 150 quid a month on starting your own business, you should have the choice to do so. You should have the choice. None of this, we'll give you what's best for you, bollocks. Hayden has said, we could also trim the NHS considerably too much management and civil service. Oh, phenomenally so. Nonsense and way too many non-essential surgeries. Cut me tits off so I don't kill myself. That's good. No. I can't even get into this today. I might go into it tomorrow, actually. But yeah, apparently Silicon Valley are looking to spend 140 million to make sure Trump doesn't get elected. But, you know, billionaires are bad. I might have to cover that tomorrow, though. We'll have to see. Aiden has said kids with cancer should take massive priority over cosmetic surgery, drunk idiots, and way too large spend on therapy. But that's, I mean, you're right, man. You're totally right. But they don't because some cold, you know, detached person just says, no, this isn't economically viable. You know, the survival rate, the survival rate is 30%. It's not worth it. They have the same attitude that they do with dogs. So just put it down. Put it down. Oh, drinking my vitamin C things. I've got to clear this cold, man. It's driving me mad. Dude, I'll be back tomorrow. And of course, thanks for subscribing. I do appreciate it, man. I don't know with the NHS if it's going to be... here's the thing. My partner works for the NHS and she loves it and she's passionate about it. She suggested the other day that, why not get cards, man? If you're paying national insurance, why not get a health card? I don't see why we don't do it. Most of Europe does exactly the same thing. I mean, for a start, straight away, just health cards, man. And I wouldn't even want the barrier for entry on that to be too high. I wouldn't. I don't know. I think at the moment it's a bit high, man. But if someone's coming here on holiday and they break the leg walking in the Welsh mountains, they should pay for their treatment. This healthcare is a human right thing is an absolute fallacy. It's nonsense. Healthcare, that's ridiculous. That's like saying my hat is a human right. My clothes. You don't have a right to somebody else's labour. It doesn't make any sense. You cannot have a right to someone's labour. I don't know. John says that young kids should also take huge priority over us old pricks. Just let me die. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. They probably do to an extent. I mean, you tend to have children's hospitals as a separate entity, even within the same building, don't you? And I should hope that more money goes there. I mean, they do. They do. I'm already at the point now where doctors are like, well, you know. When I hurt me toe a year or so ago, they didn't really care. They just... Like, I've not got some like running career, long jump career that I'm about to mess up. I'm no football. They just stop caring after about 35. They're like, you're like, oh, it all hurts. Oh, me bum. And they're like, okay, cool, yeah. Guys, I'll see you tomorrow at noon, and hopefully Hayden's camera will be fixed for Trigger Warning Tuesday, our podcast, because it was weird last week. I doled up in all my gear. I'm still wargraying, by the way, but I doled up and then Hayden wasn't there, and I was just really aware of the fact that the only thing anyone could look at through the whole show was me. I was acutely aware of that. Please fix it, Hayden. Fix it today. Please, mate. Love you guys. Speak to you tomorrow.